Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
two certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only two best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go. Hey, everyone.
Hey. Back for a new Dear Krachel.
It's February. It's the shortest month of the year. Also, it's a leap year.
Also, how is it February?
I don't know.
I feel like New Year's was yesterday.
No, January lasted for 8 years.
It
know.
Did. I don't know about that.
No, I saw someone, I think it was Glennon Doyle, talking about this on Instagram. And she was like, I'm sorry, but January has lasted for like 6 weeks. Maybe not 8 years. But it feels like a massive amount of time has gone by since Christmas. And I agree.
Well, if I think about
January's a long
Christmas,
month.
then yeah, that does feel like a while ago.
Okay, this is a boring conversation. So let's move
Should
on
we
to
just get into our questions?
Be more interesting. Yeah, let's get into it. Well, we have 3 questions this time. And I'm just going to dive in and start reading the first one.
Okay, let's do it.
Dear Krachel, I'm currently a sophomore in college and feel like I'm doing the college experience wrong. This year, I feel like I've actually started getting on track with what I want, but feel unsure. It doesn't help that I hear from others how they've already participated in internships, some of them internationally, and seem to have a clear path. I'm happy for them, of course, but I just wish I could have the same amount of clarity. I'm currently trying to switch into computer science as a major because I know it makes a lot of money. I know it sounds terrible, but my idea was to take the job in computer science and then use it to leverage things I'm really interested in, like dance, drawing, fashion. Does it make sense for me to do this? I know that this is apparently supposed to be one of the most financially significant decisions in my life, but it just seems that this is the only choice I have since I still don't have a clear idea of what to do. Thank you, Jade.
Oh, Jade, I so sympathize. I have a brother who's around your age right now, and all of his friends are freaking out about what they're going to major in. I got to tell you,
I'm sure Josh isn't freaking out. He never freaks out about anything.
He's not freaking out, but he's still unsure. He's still questioning a lot of things. Even him, who's like the most confident, cool, level-headed person in the world. So this is a thing that a lot of people, I was going to say a lot of people your age are freaking out about. This is something that we still talk to our clients about literally decades older than you, who are still trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives. So I want to first and foremost just take some of the pressure off of this whole major selection thing. I wish I could take a poll of everyone listening right now and have them raise their hands if they were actually using the thing that they majored in their current job. Because I guarantee you it would be a paltry amount of people. I don't have a good visual, but I guarantee you people are listening to this being like, no, I'm not doing anything close to what I majored in anymore. So it's not the most financially significant decision of your life the way people are trying to put that pressure on it right now for you.
Yeah, so I feel like you and I were kind of arguing about this before, not arguing, kind of arguing about this
disagreeing a little.
We turned on the mics. And here's the thing, like, I don't care what you major in. I don't really think it matters what anyone majors in. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess you were saying this a minute ago when you were saying, like, raise of hands, whose major really ended up mattering. So I think we're in agreement about the fact that picking a major doesn't have to be this thing that, I don't know, causes a ton of overwhelm or makes you feel like if I don't choose right, then my whole life is going to be upended. That's not going to happen. But I think where we kind of veer is in me saying, all right, I'm going to play devil's advocate with Jade. If she doesn't know what she wants, and I think here's where this is coming from. I don't expect any 19-year-old or 20-year-old, however old she is, to know what they want. Like, That's an unreasonable expectation of anyone her age. And really of
and
a
really
lot of
older.
people much older than her too. And so because of that, I feel like she shouldn't feel pressured to figure it out right now. College is a time about exploration and just, exploring who you are and what you want on many different levels and facets. So if she has to pick a major because it's required, but she doesn't know what she wants, I don't actually have a problem with her picking computer science as a major just to, give her something to do. And if, and logically, I actually think it does. I'm not saying this is the only option, but I can understand her argument that picking a major that has the ability to earn her, a lot of money is not necessarily a bad thing, because then she kind of has this backup option. She doesn't ever have to actually go into computer science, but it's nice sometimes to have a plan B that you feel it could be more stable. And so for all of those reasons, I'm not actually that harassed by the idea of her choosing computer science. But I feel like Kristen is taking more of an issue with this than I am.
I think harassed might be a strong word for how I'm feeling. I just want to question and I think it's because of the interests that she listed, like dance and drawing and fashion, and computer science just feels like a very stark difference from that. And look, Jade, if you are a multi-passionate person and you're like, I love computer science and I love fashion and drawing, like, great, okay. But my instinct when I read this was, I'm just almost choosing out of a hat of potentially financially profitable jobs. And sure, computer science sounds like one, or maybe someone told me that computer science was going to pay well. And I'm thinking, you still have at least probably 2 years of classes to take in computer science and potentially some work down the road in computer science. So I'd like to at least question, do you have any interest in computer science? There's a lot of jobs out there that might fulfill what Rachel just described, where you can have something that feels a little bit financially stable. And I don't know, Jade, what your passion profile is. Maybe you're a thriver. You just want a job that pays the bills while you go do your hobbies in your own time. And that would be great. I just want to question why you're choosing specifically computer science and see if there's something that might align a little closer with things that you already enjoy that might give you some of the same benefits, but there might just be some limiting beliefs there about what actually makes money and what doesn't make money and where you got that information.
I agree with that, obviously. If she's only picking computer science because she's afraid to pick something else because it doesn't, quote unquote, make sense, or it's too artistic, or her parents say they won't pay for her degree if she pursues a degree in art versus computer science. Though I'm going to actually be a little bit rebellious in saying, listen, if someone else is paying for your college, get the major that they want you to get. And then do the hell else you want with the rest of your life. Because again, your major doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And also, especially if it was a choice between like art and computer science, art is something that you can pursue without a degree. Like no one needs a degree in something, artistic necessarily to be successful. But if you really are interested in more artistic things like fashion, you are allowed to pick that as a major too. You are.
People do that as a job. People make money in the fashion world. That's a thing.
Plenty of people are making money in that world. I think this also has a lot to do with what her passion profile is.
Agreed. I wish we knew that. And maybe Jade will come back and tell us.
If she was a thriver, I would say actually it actually could be a good plan for you to get a major in something that's more, that's like very employable and has a lot of stable kind of jobs available. And then you can kind of pursue your hobbies and your interests on the side, like do what thrivers like to do, which is they have a job that provides for their passions. If, however, you're not a thriver, maybe you're a fire starter or maybe you're a tribe member or something, there are tribe members in every single industry. So it's not like there aren't tribe members and fire starters in computer science. I know that there are, but I think that in that case, the things that you are passionate about are the things you typically want to be more front and center in your career. And so it might be hard for you to try to do something you're not passionate about as a paid career. And in that case, it makes more sense to put your time and interest into developing a career that you're actually going to be excited about, not computer science.
Yeah. So first of all, Jade, if you haven't taken the passion profile quiz, please do that. And actually, I would love for you to come back and tell us your result, because that definitely impacts our advice back to you. But more than anything, I just want to lessen the pressure of this whole major thing.
Yeah.
Because right now, I know that this is top of mind. This is what everyone is asking you. You're a sophomore, probably next year, if not later this year, you have to declare that. There's a lot of pressure going on in your circle right now to choose the right major, but it's not going to be the hugely impactful decision for the whole rest of your career that it feels like it is right now. So you can trust us as people who have talked to a lot of people who have been out in the working world for a little while.
Also, as old people who have been out in the working world for over a decade longer than you.
Exactly. It doesn't matter as much as it feels like it matters right now.
No. And remember, you can't get it wrong. Go back to my most recent Rachel rants about that subject from a few weeks ago, because you might need a reminder that there's no such thing as a wrong choice and that all roads can ultimately lead you to the same place. Mm-hmm. So, okay. You want to move on to number 2?
All right. Dear Krachel, I work as a nurse, and honestly, I hate it. I feel a strong sense of dread every time I drive to work and feel resentment toward the patients. It seems ridiculous, but I often feel angry that they, quote unquote, bother me with their problems. But that's why I'm there, to help them. I'm no longer the passionate, caring individual I once was, and I don't know what to do. I've tried taking time off, job hopping, counseling, multiple types of therapy, courses, etc. I feel like I've done a lot of internal work, but I still feel so disheartened and frustrated. I'm tired of lying to people every day by putting on a fake smile and pretending like I care, because I just don't anymore. The term that gets thrown around a lot is compassion fatigue. Do you think this is a real thing? How do I overcome it? That is from Nurse Grumpy.
Okay, Nurse Grumpy. Yeah, sure, shit, a thing.
Yes.
But I don't think you need to overcome it. I think you're just done with being a nurse.
I mean, in her first sentence, she said, I hate it.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I think that you have reached a point of no return with your career, with being a nurse. When I read, I think it was The Tipping Point, and God forbid that I not be able to accurately quote a Malcolm Gladwell book.
Seriously, I hope you're right.
I'm pretty sure it was The Tipping Point but this is research available in lots of other places, but where he was talking about John Gottman and John Gottman's famous study. He's a researcher and a psychologist, and he and his wife have been researching relationships for decades. And so I think the Gottman Institute has like a ton of resources and all sorts of, more stuff on this if you want to dive in. But one of the things that he was like super famous for is this like really like thin slicing with couples. He can like watch 5 minutes of an interview and tell between two couples and tell with 90% accuracy whether they'll still be married in like 5 years.
It's amazing.
And the factor that basically it boils down to one thing. If he senses that this is present, it's almost guaranteed you will not be married in 5 years or 10 years or whatever. Contempt. So if you've gotten to a place where you feel contempt for something or someone, it's done. Like you've reached a point of no return and it's almost impossible to come back from it. When I am reading, there's a shit ton of contempt in this email. And I don't blame you for that.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of complicated feelings about this because I think it's normal to reach a point of just being over something. And I don't know how you originally felt about nursing. I would have liked to hear more about how you originally felt about nursing. Did you ever love it? Or was it always something you kind of have done maybe because you felt like there was nothing else you could do? Or maybe, and I don't know how old you are, so I don't know if you've been doing this for 30 years and you're just over it, or if maybe you were pressured into picking a major, by parents or something, and you did this because you felt like it was the right thing, not the thing you really wanted. There's a lot of reasons why you could have been feeling contempt from the beginning, or you may have loved it and just developed contempt because of how much it takes out of you, which is natural because being a nurse is a very, very draining job. And if you don't have, and honestly, even if you have great boundaries, even if you're not a people pleaser, which all of that would help in being able to do a job like nursing without burning out, even the people who are best at setting boundaries, saying no, not people pleasing, are going to have it taken out of them because it's just a really physically, emotionally demanding job.
I see this a lot too in what I guess are called the helping professions.
Like teachers, you see it all the time with teachers.
I've had many teachers and people in the medical industry that I've coached over the years.
Too.
Yep. Who go into their career for the best of intentions. And you called yourself a passionate, caring individual, or at least you once felt that way and you don't feel that way anymore. That's what I see a lot is these people who have so much capacity for empathy and caring, and they really, really want to help people. And they go into these professions. And frankly, a lot of these systems are completely broken. The education system is broken. The way that teachers have way too many students and they have to deal with way too many bureaucratic political red tape scenarios in their public schools or whatever. The medical industry is particularly broken. The fact that you're not really there helping people, you're just mostly checking off numbers and getting through as many patients as you can in as little time to make the most money. These are not the systems that were built for the kind of people who are drawn to those systems, which are those caring, empathic people who really want to help the people that they're there to help. And so I see this burnout happen in these industries more than most industries. And I don't know if that's what happened to you, Nurse Grumpy, but I know that a lot of people are having that experience. So you're certainly not alone in feeling like you came to this for the right reasons. And now you are completely disenchanted, you are completely burnt out, and you frankly hate it. So I don't know that. I think Rachel's right. I think at this point, even a change of the system would probably not be enough. I think right now you need a fresh start. I don't know what that looks like for you right now. That probably feels equally exciting and terrifying, and that would be normal. But I think a fresh start would absolutely clear away a lot of this burnout and allow you to explore something else without feeling that residual resentment following you around.
And I'm going to say that it may follow you around if you're the type of person, it's not just about your career, if you're the type of person who is giving too much. Like in her marriage, with her kids, with her family. You know, I think especially people, nurses, they tend to be not to stereotype, but also I just feel like this is just true and it makes a lot of sense that they tend to be the type of people who are very giving. And often they give and give and give until they have nothing left. And so it may not just be in your career where this is happening. And if that's the case, then this is a pattern that's going to follow you around to any career that you do next, not just nursing. And maybe nursing is where you're taking out your frustration because you don't know how to take it out with like your kids or your spouse, or like things you feel like are impossible to get away from. Your career is one thing. It feels like a little more easy to quit than maybe the family that's burning you out or that's demanding too much of you. And so I do want you to examine your propensity for overgiving. Maybe you don't have it, but I have to mention it.
Yeah. And I was also thinking, you mentioned a lot of things that you have tried in the name of trying to make this nursing thing work.
Taking time off.
Counseling, therapy, courses, all of that. First of all, so if you've tried all of those things and none of that has made any difference, something's just wrong here.
Yeah, it's just broken.
But I do want to throw in there, sometimes what you need is not necessarily a bunch of counseling or a bunch of therapy or a bunch of courses telling you what to do. You just need to take care of yourself in the way that you've been taking care of other people, because the balance is skewed. Right now, it feels to me like most of your energy is going out and not nearly enough is coming back in. Yeah. And that's the balance that's going to have to shift whatever you do next. Again, I feel like it might be too late for nursing, but whatever you do next, if you're not taking as good of care of yourself, if not better, than you are of other people, then this cycle might happen all over again. And I don't want that for you.
Here's what I really want. And I'm going to use kind of a visual and an analogy for Nurse Grumpy. What I would love, and I'm sure she's going to roll her eyes and be like, yeah, well, that sounds nice. I'm not telling you have to know how this is going to happen. I'm just trying to plant a seed of what I would like to happen next for you. Okay, again, go back to the marriage analogy. If you had gone to therapy, counseling, tried relationship courses, taken some space apart from your spouse, and you still have resentment and contempt, and you still hate him, yeah, it's just time for a divorce. And after a divorce, what I would really love is for you to take like an eat, pray, love journey and like find yourself and meditate and hook up with a hot Brazilian man. And what I want is for you to do that in your career. Now, does it mean you have to leave your job for a year and go to India or Italy or whatever? Though if you can, great, go do that. But I kind of want you to do something that is in the spirit of like reconnecting with you and what you love and prioritizing yourself and basically giving yourself permission to cut the dead weight of the, good for nothing job, good for nothing spouse in this analogy that's just dragging you down and making you the worst version of yourself. Like I want you to kind of like unbecome or kind of turn into the person you've probably always been that's just been kind of, hidden under layers of resentment and contempt. I want you to kind of like unfurl and blossom as a person again. Yeah. That's what I want.
And maybe you get a bridge job along the way. Maybe you just get something to help pay some of the bills that maybe has nothing to do with nursing. And it just opens up this whole new possibility of, okay, I don't have to figure this out right now. I'm just going to take a step back from what I've been doing. And I'm going to give myself this time to figure it out. Because right now, I don't think you have a lot of extra energy or brain space to figure out what the next step is because you're so drained all of the time. Mm-hmm. Something has to change to break up this cycle so that you have some energy to figure out where am I going next. I love it. I mean, if you can just quit everything and do that, please do it for all of us.
Right. And report back and take pictures. Do you like that I've brought up Liz Gilbert, Malcolm Gladwell, and Glennon Doyle all on this podcast?
I love it. All trifecta.
My greatest hits. Okay, so let us know how that sits with you, Grumpy. I hope that she can maybe become something else over the course of the next few months.
Yeah, she can have a new moniker for us next time.
Happy or sleepy would be better even. I don't know. Okay, so on to number 3, the last one. This one's a longer one, but well worth it. Dear Krachel, I'm 30 years old and I've been with my partner for 4 years. I find I'm now constantly hassled about getting married. This comes from family, friends, coworkers, people I barely know, and honestly want to tell people to F off. It reminds me of when I was single. It was all, when are you getting a boyfriend? And then I did get a boyfriend, but after 18 months of dating, it was, why aren't you living together? My partner and I truly didn't want to live together at the time. We moved in at 2.5 years when we wanted to. Why do people constantly feel the need to openly pressure others to hit life milestones at certain timelines? Why is that not considered rude? On top of that, I'm not really clear on how I feel about marriage. My parents got divorced, and I've seen great and terrible relationships, both in married and de facto partnerships. So I've always questioned the need for marriage. However, there are times when I wonder, if I do want to get married one day, okay, but what if my partner doesn't? What do I do then? In the meantime, how do I handle these nosy, intrusive questions that truly piss me off when they come along, plus get clear on my feelings about marriage and what to do about those said feelings, whatever they may be? Ms. Pissed Off.
Oh, Ms. Pissed Off. This is a good one. This is really 2 big overarching questions in one. The first is like, how do I deal with these meddlesome, annoying people who are prying all over my business? And then what do I want to do about marriage and how do I figure that out? So I'm going to start with the first one, which is, what is up with these people who just can't get their noses out of my business? And I don't know what's up with this either. This is just a human thing. It's super obnoxious. I think there are so many people out there who are just dead set on projecting on other people. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I think sometimes it's coming from their own boredom with their own life. And so maybe they've been married for a long time and they're like, ugh, my husband's boring. So let me talk about your boyfriend and your potential marriage. And it seems much more exciting than where I'm at. And so you get all of their stuff vomited back all over you. I think sometimes people just really want to feel validated that the path they chose is right. And so when other people do things the same way, it makes them feel like, okay, I chose the right thing and I'm doing things the normal way and the standard way. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. It has nothing to do with you. It's all their baggage that they're just throwing all over you, which is not fair and kind of sucks. And you asked, why is it not considered rude? I think Rachel and I would both maintain it is rude. Mm-hmm. We certainly consider it rude.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess you don't want to tell them to shove it. So we have to like give you a better answer than just telling them to F off. Though I actually would be fine if you told them to F off. Like, go for it if you want to.
Sure.
But I also agree, like, first, I also agree that people need you to follow the rules so that they can feel calm and secure and safe about life. You know, like, here's the thing. People don't judge you. The people who would never ask you that question are the people who are very clear and confident and grounded in themselves and their decisions. They're like, who cares what other people are doing? I'm fine with my life. So the people who ask you about that are the people who are not super self-aware, the people who, the way that they get their sort of groundedness and their calm and their sense of control met is through adhering to certain norms and by following the rules and by playing along. And so they ask you, where do you fit into my paradigm? That's basically what they're saying. Where do you fit into my worldview? And the fact that you're not fitting into my worldview makes me uncomfortable.
Well, it makes me question my worldview, and I don't like that. I don't
like questioning my worldview. I just want to kind of plug into a preordained system. And the fact that you're not doing that is kind of like a kink in my works, and that's bothering me, and I need to smooth it out. That's kind of what's happening with people. And so how you respond to that, here's the thing. Like, once you really own the fact that this has nothing to do with you, you actually won't get very triggered by people asking you about this, because you will just know inherently literally nothing they're saying is about me, and this is just about them being like overly attached to a certain structure and a certain kind of, you know, box that they want to play in, and they don't like that I'm making them question their box. And so I feel like you should just have fun with your answers. Like, not get defensive, not get overly explanatory, but just kind of maybe turn it back on them and jar them a little bit. Like, if they're going to make you uncomfortable with them asking stupid ass questions about your life that's none of their business, maybe kind of turn it back on them a little bit. Like, someone asks you, you know, when are you getting married? And you can just be like, you know, I don't know. I don't know if I ever want to get married, or maybe I'll get married tomorrow. What do you think about marriage? Like, how well have you seen marriages go in your experience? How many like really happily married people do you know? Just like kind of fluster them with your responses, because no one's going to have a good answer. That's what's so hilarious, is that if you turn it back on someone and you make them have to justify the question that they just asked, they will not have a good answer for you about almost anything.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. No, I love that. I love that, turning it back on them and turning the tables in that moment. I'm also just thinking, even though I know that this is still getting to you, Ms. Pissed Off, and we're kind of hopefully helping you figure out how to get a little bit more solid in, you know what? I'm just doing what I want. I don't really care what you think. I feel like you're actually doing the first half of that, which is I'm just doing what I want. Yeah. And the second half is I don't care what you think. So I want to give you a lot of props for the fact that you are doing things the way you want to do things, that you and your partner are choosing your own timeline and you're figuring it out together as you go, and you're not letting all of that external feedback actually get into your relationship and change. Because I think a lot of people would, frankly. I think a lot of people would have been like, wow, everyone around me is asking me when we're moving in together. Should we be moving in together? Should we have talked about this already? And made it spiral within themselves. And you're not doing that. So you've already done phase one, which is awesome. The second phase is just, who cares what anyone else thinks? This is not their relationship. Their view on this relationship means nothing between me and my partner. That's irrelevant. And like Rachel said, I'm going to just kind of have fun with it. Find it a little bit amusing. Ask myself in my head, wow, I wonder what's going on with them, that they're so concerned about my stuff. What are they avoiding in their own life? Right? That might help you feel like it's less personal.
Mm-hmm. And then, okay, I could go on about this, but I do have a limited amount of time. The second question, which is, well, like, what if I did want to get married? How do I know? And I think it's understandable that you're not sure, because I get the sense that you might, well, it sounds like you have mixed feelings about marriage from a very honest place, like your parents getting divorced and having seen a lot of successful relationships, both married and not married, and also the reverse, unsuccessful relationships. But I think that what I want to caution, and I sense this could be possible for you, and I see it a lot with my clients in lots of different arenas, not just this one, though definitely this one too. I want to caution you against deciding you're against marriage in reaction to something. Because deciding you're against something just because you're kind of trying to go in the opposite extreme is not actually any better than playing completely along and towing the party line. That makes it sound like there's two options. Either you literally adhere to, the societal norms 100%. It's like you do everything the way that it's expected of you, or you rebel and you do none of it. And those aren't actually your only two options. There are plenty of people who choose things that on the outside look more traditional, but the way that they do it is completely different than, what it might look like on the outside. The point is the attitude and the perspective you bring to something is what defines it, not the label. So if you want to get married, or if you decide you want to get married, that's fine. If you decide you never want to get married, that's also fine. Neither of those labels matter very much in comparison to what you decide a partnership actually means and what values it's really important for you and your partner to share and to have together and to grow together and to live out.
I think a really good clarifying question to help you figure out your answer to, do I want to get married or do I not, would be, if I were to do marriage my way, or maybe if my partner and I were to do marriage our way, what would that look like? And it might have very little to do with the traditional norms that you see in marriage or weddings or whatever, or it might actually have some overlap. And if you can't come up with any good answer, then maybe the answer is, I just don't need this. I don't want this, and we're fine without it. And that's just as fine. Just like Rachel said, all of these things are fine. There's no right answer here.
Another good filter question related to that is, if no one knew what I did, no one was going to know what I did one way or the other, what would I choose to do?
That's so good here in this scenario.
Yeah. Would I get married, or would I just choose not to get married? Again, no one's ever going to know what you did. This is literally only about what you prefer and what interests you. And I think your answer will be illuminating. And whatever you kind of feel the most instant reaction to, that's the right thing. And so then examine why that. Why is it that if no one knew, that's what I would do? That's going to be probably the most telling.
There's one more piece of this that I wanted to answer, which was the question, what if I want to get married one day, but my partner doesn't? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really good question for you guys to talk about now, before you even ever make this decision. I think that might be a good thing to say, hey, at this moment, I know that we're both on the same page of, I don't think we really care about getting married. That's just not on our radar. But what would happen if one day I decide, I think I do want this? How would you feel about that? Would that be a deal breaker for you? Would that be something you'd be open to? Could we talk about ways of doing that in a way that feels good to both of us? What a powerful conversation to have way before the fact, than to be always wondering, well, am I just committing to this way because this is what we chose together and now I feel like I can't choose differently? Yeah. Talk about that now. There's no reason not to bring that up.
Ultimately, if your partner were to, say that he doesn't want to get married, then I think that why is going to be the determining factor.
Yep.
Because if it's more just it just doesn't matter to him as a value or an institution, but his values are in the right place, he wants commitment and partnership, or he wants the things that you want out of a relationship, then that might not be a deal breaker. But if the reason he doesn't want to get married has maybe deeper, more personal roots and is kind of a values clash, maybe he doesn't like the idea of combining his life beyond a certain point. And maybe that, I don't know, that could easily speak to some sort of avoidant emotional issues, or maybe he has a lot of limiting beliefs about marriage and he's choosing not to get married out of fear and reactivity, not because it's actually genuine. And maybe he's not willing to examine that. That would make a big difference. So there's no right answer. that we can give you about, well, what happens if he decides he doesn't want to get married? Because again, his intention and why, and whether he's choosing it consciously or whether he's reacting, just like we kind of warned you about being reactive. Wait, did we warn her? Did we warn someone else?
No, I think we did. Not to be reactive to relationships that you have seen, good and bad.
Oh, I don't. Okay. I feel like I've talked about reactivity more than once in this conversation so far.
Maybe it's a theme.
Maybe. Yeah. So just like, this is the lesson for you, and it's the lesson for him, is that whatever you choose has to be consciously chosen. It cannot be because yeah, okay, it was about her. That you're not just reacting to something based on negative experience with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that was a big answer, but it was a big question. So it had a lot of components to it.
Ms. Pissed Off. I hope that after this, you're a little bit less pissed off. But you were very validated in your anger.
Yeah. Righteously pissed off. Nothing wrong with that sometimes.
No. Okay. So I think that's that.
I think so. So do we have anything else we wanted to share? I guess we'll have a blog coming out on Tuesday.
Yeah. I think it'll be an old one from me. No, I think it's actually going to be one of yours. But I couldn't tell you what or how or when.
Well, we'll also find out soon.
Also, I'm going to link to, I'm not going to read them out, but I put together a few old Dear Krachels that had similar type questions or themes, and I put them in the show notes. So if any of you guys are liking the subject matter we got into, I linked to some about, hey, should I take a job because it pays me a bunch of money, which was kind of like what Jade was asking us earlier. Did a couple where they were getting into marriage and relationship issues and stuff like that. So if you want some more listening, you can go to the show notes and get a few recommendations for what to do next.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, we will see you on Tuesday then.
All right. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.